Today I'll be showing some use cases with AI-powered sales using web scraping and other techniques to really enhance your sales process. So I just wanted to do like a quick overview of Zapier Central and show kind of the features that we have here. So firstly, you have the screen where you can go in and create a new assistant. You can call it whatever you want. In this case, I'm going to call it marketing sales assistant or something like that. And then you would have a description of what this will do and some of the instructions as well. So the description for this is going to be using web scraping to essentially automate your sales process. And for description, I can say it's going to help me send and create help me create and send marketing emails based on scraped data from a website. And you can also add actions and data sources, and these are what really power the amazing tools that we have here. So for actions, we have over 7,000 apps and integrations, and we can do Gmail. So in our case, we'll be adding a Gmail action that can, and there's a bunch of different actions here that are integrated with Zapier, and you can do create a draft, which I know a lot of you would want to do, or you can actually just directly send the email. So in this case, we'll do this, and we'll show the other use case as well. And you can also have data sources, kind of how we were talking about earlier. And so we have these integrations right now. And for our use case, we'll be using Google Sheets, and I will be using this attendee data, spreadsheet here. And then you can create your assistant. And yeah, that'll essentially create this chatbot that you could interface with. You can message it, and it'll be integrated with these Gmail and Sheets here. We also have these things called behaviors. Before I get into the live demo here, I just wanted to show this as well. It's a really cool feature here. And they're basically these custom commands where you can tell your assistant to do based on behavior that's triggered, and then it'll process that based on the data it has and the available actions. So you can create this trigger that has certain instructions. So for example, when I have a new Salesforce lead, summarize it, and then send it to a Slack channel. You can have behavior actions. You can set up these data sources. And you can also test the behavior to see, is it what I want it to be? You can preview it essentially, and we can show that in the future. But for now, I just want to show a couple scenarios here as you're, if you're a marketing or salesperson, how could you use this type of tool, right? So like a first scenario I want to talk about is, imagine you're preparing for a web conference, right? And you have a list of attendees that you want to meet, and the goal is to reach out to them with personalized emails based on their positions and companies that they represent. Normally, without a tool such as this, this would involve, gathering a lot of manual details from the list, drafting individual emails, and ensuring each one is tailored towards the recipient. And this process can be very tedious and inefficient, especially with a large number of attendees. Even in this event, we have around 300 attendees, and this tool would be really useful for that. And in this scenario, we're going to be automating the entire process using Zapier Central. The first step we'll be doing is scraping the attendee data from a specific web page. And the way that we're going to be doing that is it's actually built in directly into Zapier Central. They have a scraping tool directly built in. So you can say scrape the text data from this web page. And the web page I'll be using is just this web page that we had this for promoting this specific webinar that we're in today. So I can copy this link and paste it in here. And I sent the message, and it'll process that. So we'll be doing that, and this data obviously includes all the information about this event, the timing of the event, what's going to be happening, what you'll learn, some super specific information that would be really useful for a marketing campaign. So it says web browsing complete, and you can see here it went in and did all this really technical stuff. It did this web scraping script and automatically got all this data, and you can see that we have all this data directly from the web page here, as well as a screenshot. So now it's asking me, would you like to proceed with creating and sending a marketing emails based on this data? And the way that's doing that is because I told it the instructions and kind of the description of how this would work. So it's going to be prompting me based on how this chatbot and assistant is supposed to work in general. So yes, I would say I would like to proceed. So I can say I would like to proceed with marketing emails based on this data. And the emails are going to be in this data source that I connected earlier. So we're going to have this attendee data, right? And this attendee data worksheet is going to essentially have, these are just fake names, fake emails, fake companies, just for disclosure. But you have these names, you have your first name, last name, company, company email, and job description. And you have, And so based on that data, you want to send an email. And you want to send an email to all those emails in that spreadsheet. And how can you do that based on that? So sometimes you can just talk to this as you're talking to a personal assistant, right? You can say, I would like to proceed with sending these marketing emails based on this data. So the emails are in my data source, tailor the emails based on the positions, their company, and the event. And email them about being excited to connect with them at the event. Okay. And so from there, it should be accessing that data source to get all the emails, getting all their names, their positions in their companies, and then tailoring it towards what they do, what company they're at, and all this data about the event. And while that runs, yeah, let's just keep it a moment for running, and it should be done soon. So the first step was to create the data source analysis. It went through, it did this basically SQL code to basically go through all that. We don't need to worry about that. It'll do that automatically. It got the list of all these company emails and the jobs and the companies. And now the next step is to go through and use this send email action from Gmail to go through all these emails right here and essentially get them and send them to these people. And yeah, while that's running, I just wanted to talk about a little more of how this would work. So once the data is extracted, Zapier Central will automatically generate and send out these marketing emails. These emails will be customized to reflect the attendee's position and company, and they'll highlight the intent to meet them based on the command here. And by automating this entire process, we're eliminating the need for manual data handling or email drafting, and allowing us to really manage a large volume of data while maintaining a high level of personalization in our outreach, and reducing the amount of time instead of manually drafting these emails. It'll all automatically be sending them to these emails here. Okay, while that is running, I want to start with another demonstration, and we'll check back on that in a couple seconds here. But I'll create a new assistant that, so I have another use case here, right? So I have another web conference data. I'm going to use the same web conference data that here from this same web page. And essentially, I want to, another scenario here is, essentially, I'm going to gather all the attendee data, and I want to analyze who is coming to my event. And I want to create specific drafts for the emails based on what the roles are at the companies. But the first thing I want to do is actually learn what these people do and how many of these people I have at this event. So yeah, so while that's running, we'll show this next scenario. So the first step here is we're going to scrape the data again. So I'm going to call this a similar thing, marketing and scraping. And essentially, it's going to help me learn about webinar attendees and scrape web data. Okay, and here I will be adding an action. So the only action I'll need here is a data source. And you can also do a draft email as well. So I can add that as well. But the first thing is the data source, and the data source, I'm going to do the full attendee data here because I want to get all the metrics. It's going to sync with the spreadsheet. And while it's happening, I'm going to send a message. So yeah, the first thing I want to do before that is I want to scrape from this similar web page here. So scrape the text data from this web page. And let this finish syncing. Okay, let me try this again. I think, let me just say, I think I had some technical difficulties, but let's just say send an email to the data retrieved to all of the tailored to the positions and the event. Okay, and hopefully that will work there. But while it's running, this web browsing completed here, and we got the data again. So this time we want to do something a little bit different. So the first thing I want to do is actually go through and summarize this event. And I want to summarize it in 5 paragraphs. Since these are just mainly bullet points, you can go through, after web scraping it automatically, you can go through and summarize it similar to how GPT would do it, but in this case, it would be all integrated into one with the web scraper. So yeah, it's basically talking about this webinar here, everything that's going to be happening. And then we can say, now from the attendee spreadsheet, I want to learn more about them, right? So from the attendee spreadsheet, which companies are the attendees from? And let's see. Yeah, let me just give the specific name. I'll say data source. and this is still running, so we'll give that a second. And yeah, so this will be pretty quick. It's just essentially going through the spreadsheet of this full attendee data. And we have this company, or sorry, we're getting all these companies. So it's essentially getting all the companies from the spreadsheet. We're understanding, these are all the companies that are registered for this event. And then we can understand from that, like, what types of people we're expecting from there. You can ask, how many from each company. And this is a really good way for a marketing person or salesperson to really understand who's coming to their events, who will be attending, and then really curate the event towards the people who are coming, or curate your marketing emails directly towards them. And yeah, so it's essentially going through and getting all this company data. Imagine you have not only just 300, maybe you have like thousands or like tens of thousands of attendees or registrants. This can be a very tedious process to do manually, and you can directly interface with it, with this Zapier Central here. So we're seeing the company and we're seeing the attendee count for all these companies. Really useful information for someone in this field. And we can also, do another scenario here where you want to understand, what are the occupations of the people who are at this event. So you can say, what jobs do the attendees have from the data source? And it'll be essentially getting the data from this one now. And we can ask about how many there are, and I can ask about what they do. It's a really good way of interfacing directly with the spreadsheet or any of these other data sources that we have here, with Airtable, Excel, Google Docs, anything that you would think of for having hosting this data on. It would be an option here. So it's telling us how many of each we have. So we have 123 product managers, 88 technical leads, all these different roles that are registered, and that can give you a really good understanding of who's coming to your event. And as you can see, this one has completed, so it's starting to send these emails. So as you can see, we have this list of emails, and it's going to be for each one, then giving an instruction. So sending a marketing email toward the position and company of the attendee, inviting them to the AI-powered sales webinar, and expressing excitement to connect with them. And this is the parameters. So it's this Airbnb email from my name, and then it'll be tailoring it specifically towards them. So they're saying based on their role, what they're doing, and stuff like that. And yeah, so that's a really great way of setting that up, and I can show you how it actually sent through here. So this is my email 0 minutes ago, just sent, and the only thing about this is it's going to be bouncing back because these are fake emails. But that's beside the point. If you're doing this with the real data, it's obviously going to work. In our case, it's just fake emails because I don't want to expose any data like that. But yeah, that's kind of this scenario here, and it'll continue sending all the emails for all these emails in this list. If you have hundreds of thousands of emails, it'll keep doing it. It's going to completely remove you from the process and make it completely automated. So back to this example here. So we have this data. You can do this really great data source analysis about who's coming to your event, and then we also did this web scraping here, right? We understood what this event is about, and so we want to combine these two, and we really want to learn more about the attendees. And now that we did, we can actually make more tailored emails. So what I can say is draft emails based on draft emails that explain how the Zapier event is relevant to their position and how I am excited about connecting with them at the event. And in this case, it'll be just drafting the emails, and we have all the information about the positions. So it should draft an email for the product managers, for the technical leads, data scientists. And so as you can see, it's a generic email based on what position they have, how this event is relevant to them, and then telling them we're looking forward to connect with them at this event. And this is similar to what we did here, but in this case we're doing it specifically based like 7 different email templates based on the positions. We learned about the positions, we learned about the companies. You can also say you want to make these email drafts specific to the companies. You can make them a lot more specific based on the company and the position, and more data if you have more data about them. But yeah, this is a really good way of emailing specifically for the roles. And so this is a really good feature of how you can use these generic emails. Then you can set up an action here where you actually send the emails that I kind of did earlier. A lot of people, I know what they want to do in this scenario is maybe not send it out directly. Maybe you want to review it beforehand. So you can do something like create a draft. And this will create the email, but not actually send it. So then you can go through your drafts and your email and then actually review them all first before sending them out, make sure there's no errors or anything that didn't go well, right? So yeah, that's kind of that scenario there. And so this whole process will kind of leverage Zapier's Gmail draft feature to either draft or directly send these personalized emails. And this is super useful for a lot of scenarios where you could be understanding who they are in a professional context while eliminating the need for the manual effort to draft these various emails, and understanding from all that data, maybe the thousands of rows, like what positions they have, what companies they're from. You can really understand like what the breakdown is. You can understand how many are products. This is a very product manager heavy event, a lot of technical leads there, but maybe not many system architects, and you can really tailor your emails towards that, or tailor your overall event. In this scenario, you can understand which companies they're from, etc. And yeah, so that's pretty much it for this use case. I want to show another use case while we're at it. So let's do another assistant here, and this assistant, or you can use the same assistant depending on if it's a similar scenario, or if you want to do a completely different thing, and you have different actions, different data sources, different overall goal. That's when you would create a different assistant. And if you're using the same assistant, you'd be doing it for a similar task. And in this scenario, it's going to be a little bit different of a task. So I'm going to create a new assistant. I'm going to say it's going to be about post-event follow-up campaigns. And so this is essentially going to be following up with attendees after events. And so essentially in this scenario, the focus is on executing a post-event follow-up campaign after attending a web conference or in-person conference or something like that. So typically following up with attendees would involve manually summarizing the event, recalling details of various workshops that happened in the event, drafting personalized emails to thank participants for attending. And this is going to be quite labor intensive, especially when there are multiple workshops involved, there are multiple events, multiple speakers, and you want to really personalize it so that you can get a high click-through rate and return rate. So it's really important that you can really automate this process, make it a lot faster. So in this scenario, you'll be doing a post follow-up campaign. So I'm just going to put a simple instructions there and create this assistant. In this scenario, we will be doing actions. So the first action we'll be using is a Gmail. So we'll do a similar Gmail campaign here. And so, yeah, one second. Yeah, so first I want to add the data source. So in this case, we're going to be using a specific data source that has events, information about workshops that someone attended in a hypothetical event. So let's do this one. I have workshop data. And you can see this spreadsheet here. I have this data, similar data that we had before: first name, last name, email, company, job, and workshop attended. So in this workshop, we're going to have I think there's around 5 different workshops, and you want to personalize emails based on the workshop that they attended in an event. So yeah, let's do that. So the first thing that I'll be doing is, let's go back to this one. Yeah, so the first thing that I'll be doing is I'll be saying that I just attended this event. And it's going to be doing similar web scraping technique for this website here. And I'm going to say, the first thing I want to do is summarize the event in 5 paragraphs. All right, let's just say summarize the event, right? And yeah, I'm not going to do the Gmail thing again. I can add it, and it's very simple to add, but I think it takes a little bit longer, and I just want to get through more demos here. But yeah, you would simply add a Gmail thing right here. You would add, send email. But for now, I'm just going to leave it be and just create drafts. We saw how I could send emails a little bit earlier, but just for sake of time, I would like to leave it out for now. So yeah, so it's just similar web scraping. You can do this for any website. I'm just sticking it with this one just because we know what this event is. It's just today's event. And yeah, so we have this data about it. And so now what I want to do is I'm going to say this event had many workshops within the event. So I'm going to list all of the workshops at the event from the workshop data source. And I want it regardless of name of the event. So I'm just going to say regardless of the name. And what this should do is it should query this data source that I just added for the workshop data and get us all the data here and let us analyze that. And I just want to talk a little bit about what the scenario would be. So okay, I'm not sure why it only got this one. I want to get all of them regardless of the event. So regardless of the event name. I think it's trying to find names similar to sales or AI-powered sales, because that's the name of this event. Yeah, it seems like it put this AI-powered sales SQL query in there, but I want it regardless of the event because I want to, basically the scenario, what I want to do here is follow up after the event based on the workshop they attended, right? So I want to find the workshop they attended and then send a tailored email based on that workshop. And then that when you're tailoring your emails, you're going to have a lot higher click-through rate, a lot higher response rate for them to come back to a future event. And so if you tailor toward that, that's a really unique scenario here that could be really useful for. So next step here, now we have all the names of the workshops. I want to drop up an email to the people who attended each workshop and thank them for coming to the event. And you want to tailor it to what they learned in each workshop. And while it's running, I want to talk a little bit more about this. So we're going to be using Zapier Central again to create this, and we'll first script event data that we created earlier. Then we'll create the summary, and we'll extract the details about the workshops from the workshop data. And then with this information, we're creating these drafts that are personalized follow-up emails that are based on the workshop's content. In this case, we're just adding the workshop's content as just the name of the workshop. But if you want to make this even more personalized, maybe you could create another row in your spreadsheet that just gives a short description of what happened in that workshop. Now you have personalized emails for all the workshops that hypothetically happen at this event. And so that's another use case there. And the final use case I want to kind of show here is scraping a business website to find contact information, to do lead generation, and stuff like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a new assistant here, and we're going to call this web scraping lead generation. And what we're going to be doing here is going to web scrape company websites to generate leads. I'm going to create this assistant. And so now what we're going to do is, so the scenario here is we're going to connect with the business by finding and using their contact information on their website. So normally this would involve visiting the business's website, searching for an email address, and composing a marketing email to initiate contact. So I have this dentist in New York City, random business that I found. And I want to, scrape all the data here. Maybe, email is hidden. Maybe you want to do this for a bunch of different websites, maybe 20 or 30 different websites, and you don't want to go through all of them and find the email information about this website. So, and you want to interface directly with the chatbot. So what you can do here is you can really automate this task. And so first we'll be scraping the website. We'll do the similar scraping technique as before. And once the email address is identified, we'll automatically draft a marketing email using the Zapier's Gmail integration. And we'll use this email to introduce our interest in connecting with the business and highlight the reasons for reaching out. And maybe you can find like a list of thousands of websites, right? You can list thousands of websites that you want to reach out to. In this case, I'm just doing one, but maybe you have a spreadsheet, right? You create a new data source with a spreadsheet of thousands of websites, and you have Zapier Central go through and scrape all the data from all those websites, find all the emails from those thousands of websites, or phone numbers or contact information, whatever you're looking for, and then use the Gmail integration to automatically reach out to those companies. So I'm going to show that right here. So the first step, obviously, is to do the web scraping. So I think I can do this all on one command probably. Let me just connect the data source or connect the Gmail action here. So I'm going to use my email and then send email. And one second, just refresh. Okay, so we have the send email action set up there. And so what I'm going to say, using the data from this website, find the email address and send a marketing email with Gmail integration, or I'll just say just with Gmail about wanting to connect with the business. And then I'll paste in this link. And so there has two steps here. So the first step is to scrape all the data from this website, and then hopefully find the specific spot on the website where the email is, which we can see is all the way down here, right here. And so if you'll scrape all the data, it'll find that email. And then once it finds that email, it will actually use the Gmail integration to send the email. And while that's loading the website, I just want to talk a little bit more about how this can be really useful. So we're essentially automating this whole process. We eliminate the manual effort of finding the information and drafting emails. And this can not only be like a time saver, but can also make sure you're doing your job a lot more quickly and efficiently to initiate contact with potential business partners. So you see in this first step here, it completed the web browsing. It went through, did the script, and it found the email. It found the correct email, info at 209. And you can see it sent this email, opportunity to connect and collaborate. And you can see it's reaching out to the dental team. You can make this a lot more specific if you're looking for some more specific thing you want to talk about. And then you can see the specific email that it created. And this is a really, really cool use case in my opinion, because you can create a list of thousands of websites that you want to reach out to, business that you want to collaborate with, you want to do campaign with, maybe you want to sales, something with sales. And you could just create that list of websites. You don't have to find the email specifically. You can have this, Zapier just go through, find all the emails, and automatically send them based on a specific template that you create, or based on whatever information you want to give it to reach out to about. And yeah, so that's kind of that scenario there. This is really useful, especially if the contact information is not like readily available. If the email is just not on the front page of the website or super obvious where it is, this will be super useful because a scraper can get all the data and then identify which part of the data is actually the email, and then it'll go through, find that email, and automatically send it. And so yeah, that's pretty much this one, and I want to show that it sent the email. So as you can see, it automatically sent it to this info@209 NYC Dental, and yeah, it sent this generic marketing email. It said your company name. You can fix this by specifying exactly what you wanted to send. But this is just an example here, and this template maybe didn't work as well, but you can customize your template by adding your own template in there. You can say what specifically you want to add into this email. You can make this a lot more customized based on your needs and if you're doing sales or marketing or whatever. And yeah, so I think that's pretty much it for my 4 scenarios here. And I'm happy to take some questions.
Awesome. Thank you, Ayush. I will pull up the Q&A portion of our show here today. So thank you so much. That was an awesome demo. I know we've got more questions than we could probably answer in multiple webinars, but I'm going to try my best. We can prioritize these. By the way, keep the questions coming, and we can get to as many as we can. One question that I've seen come up a couple times, Andy, is the pricing. And so I wonder if you could talk a little bit about like the pricing model. People have asked about, is there a free trial? Okay, how long is that free tier? Like, how does that work? Could you just talk about that for a little bit?
Sure. So we have 2 plans today, along with an advanced custom option. So free is free forever. It's not a free trial. We give you 400 activities per month. And then our premium plan today is $50 a month. That includes 1,500 activities. An activity is like a task. When a assistant runs a behavior or runs an action through a chat, we count that as a single activity. And then for anybody who'd like more than 1,500 activities a month, you can contact us for some additional pricing.
Awesome. Perfect. I'm going to try to consolidate a couple of these questions into one and try to hit some of the main points. I saw one of the questions was asking about, tell me, how is this different from ChatGPT? I know a lot of folks are familiar with that like chat interface, and it was kind of answered over the subsequent demo in terms of like the agent actions and like, actually taking action. But Andy, I wonder if you could talk about that a little bit.
Sure. So how is this different than ChatGPT? So one, Zapier Central has instant integrations with 7,000 different applications. So it's 7,000 applications, but that actually means something like 70,000 different actions that Central can take. So we like to think about it as having unlimited actions. ChatGPT doesn't have that. And then we have live data source integrations into around 11 applications. This is Airtable, this is HubSpot, and so on and so forth. And so you can constantly use those as data sources. You can also, though, use a search function to search through Airtable or HubSpot using an action. So we like to think about it as having unlimited actions, unlimited knowledge, and unlimited ability to crawl the internet. That's Central today. So it's most similar to creating complex custom GPTs today.
Awesome. Good stuff. Yeah, that's very helpful. I know one of the things that helps me distinguish it is just like those actions. Like ChatGPT can't send an email for you. It can't add to your table or to your Google Sheet. It can't send a Slack. And also all those sources, you can, I think you can now upload some data to ChatGPT, but it doesn't, you can't grab Airtable or connect a source for all those different sources that you mentioned. So that's really helpful. Thank you. Another question that I saw, or a couple questions that I wrote down here, is just asking about, someone asked about Google Sheet that with the dummy data, and I know Ayush, you were using obviously dummy data for this demo, but I know a lot of folks were asking about what about real data, and I know Ayush, you later on did a demo where you were actually scraping the web to try to find real data if an email is listed on the web. And then Andy, I think you mentioned something I think I saw in the chat about somebody was asking about scraping LinkedIn specifically, but I wonder, I'll give you maybe both a chance to answer that. Andy, I don't know if you want to go first, just in terms of like, how do you productionize this demo, how do you actually use real data?
Sure. So I was using demo data in the Google Sheet, but you can imagine a world where you've already enriched the data, you've crawled Google, you've taken data sources, and you're feeding actually a funnel. You can quickly and easily tell Zapier Central to go to a website. You can tell it to summarize the page. You can tell it, and then you can just say, download that information to a Google Doc, create a draft email in Gmail, or add it to a Airtable or Zapier table. So it's really limitless. I recommend playing around with Central to get a feel for what you can do. It is a horizontal assistant platform, and it is free to try.
Awesome. That also reminds me, I used to work in more sales and also a lot of marketing roles. And I remember we used to use a lot like ZoomInfo or Clearbit or these tools or softwares where you're paying to enrich data. You give it a company name, it gives you back job titles, real email addresses, whatever. And so I've been thinking as I watch this demo, you could use those in conjunction. You can scrape the web, figure out somebody that, figure out the right companies or figure out companies that are attending an event or whatever, and then take that competitive intel, get the real email addresses from ZoomInfo or Clearbit or whatever tool you want, and then combine it back with Zapier Central. Let's now send those emails. So a lot of possibilities here. I saw, actually, before I ask this next question, I know you all can see the questions that are in the chat there. Is there any question that stands out to either of you that you want to get to before I jump into my next question?
I'll keep looking. Just
okay. In the meantime, I'll give you one more. I saw a couple folks asking about, and maybe this gets a little bit to the agent powers of Zapier Central. A couple folks asking about like, well, wait a minute, are you just generating the messages? I mean, that's one thing. But tell us more about, I know I used you later, I think you showed not only putting the drafts in your Gmail, but also I think you showed actually sending, through your Gmail. So could you talk a little bit about like the possibilities and like, I know people have different levels of comfort with how much they want to give over to AI. Can you talk about, what you showed and the possibilities there?
Yeah, definitely. So I kind of showed in the beginning, some of the examples I showed were without some actions that in the end were, I had like just created a list of drafts for, certain roles in a company. But some of the examples I showed were, I had the spreadsheet of emails and then I had this web conference page, and I really want to take those emails and customize it to based on what their role is, customize it based on their company and what this event is, and then actually use the Gmail integration directly built into Zapier. And there's also like 7,000 other actions you could do, or integrations, which have many different actions. And you can actually, send an email, you can send a draft, create a draft if you're not comfortable, directly sending an email. I think some people have different levels of comfort with AI, right? Maybe they don't want it to be completely automated. So what they can do is, they can, set it up where you can, the action Gmail has specifically is you can have, create a draft, and then all these emails will be listed in your drafts, and then you can just review them or just directly send them if you're comfortable with them. And there's many different actions you can do. Gmail is just one of them, but as we were saying earlier, there's over 7,000 integrations with Zapier, and any of those integrations will work directly with, with this Zapier Central tool.
Good stuff. It reminds me when I first started using Zapier Central, I think I started off with just generating the personalized messages, and then eventually I started putting them in my drafts folder to review and just make sure that they were all good. But then eventually I was like, this thing is rock solid. Let's just you can send them and go. So it's kind of, I think you get more and more accustomed the more trust you build, I guess, after working through it. Andy, I'll pose this one to you. I've seen a couple different folks asking about, like, tell me more about the difference between assistant and behaviors. I think I saw a question about like, what is actions versus the data sources? Can you just give a quick recap of maybe the nomenclature that's used in this product and what it all does?
Sure. So we think about the entire product as an AI assistant today. You can create behaviors. Behaviors are like an individual assistant. Imagine giving an individual behavior a set of tasks, and you can those behaviors then can run synchronously or asynchronously. Now, outside of that, you can go in and just create and just chat with the bot, and you can ask it to do anything, equip it with instant action. So those are any of the 7,000 plus actions we have, or you can integrate live data sources. And live data sources are an integration into your HubSpot or your Zendesk or your Airtable. And when you update the record in your HubSpot or Zendesk and Airtable, the Central will also automatically have access to it. So what I recommend people doing is get in there and play around. Give us feedback. And we're all part of it. There's a Zapier early access program today. We'd love you to join, and we'd love to hear more feedback from you as we're building this product for your workflows.
Awesome. I think I think we've got time for a few more questions. I know, Andy, one that I've seen, there's been a fair amount of questions about like CRM and connecting to CRM. I think somebody had an idea of like, what if I was scraping the web and when I found a match, I updated my CRM, like updated my Salesforce or updated my HubSpot to say, give a little more info about who this person is, their job title or their company or their school or something. Could I potentially do that? It sounded really cool. I've never tried that myself, but I wonder, just in that vein, do you think something like that would be possible, or have you thought about any other use cases or tried any use cases that you think would be worth exploring for this audience?
So I think it's very interesting. In general, we have data source integrations now into HubSpot, and you'll see Salesforce coming soon. That live data from those, that's a live AI-based search of those data sources. That being said, we already have the legacy Zapier search interfaces into all the CRMs on the market today. So HubSpot, Salesforce, you name it, those are already live. And so you can use actions to write back into a CRM. You can use any of the existing triggers and actions on Zapier in Central today and do any of the work that you were previously able to do using a Zap. So that's a long-winded answer of saying, try it.
Good stuff. I like it. I see at least one more type of question that I want to pose to you, Andy. It's about kind of like the ecosystem of Zapier products. That's some already out there, some that are still unfolding. There were questions about like, could this integrate with a Zap? Like, what about, how does this fit in with Zapier tables or with interfaces? Could you just talk a little bit about how this fits into the ecosystem and any good overlaps or anything like that?
Sure. So Zapier tables is already a built-in data source today. It has integrations with a number of other Zapier products. And then we also have a product out there called Chatbots, which is focusing on sales and success external-facing workflows. So the strongest integration today with other Zapier products would really be tables.
Agreed. That makes a lot of sense. Okay, any other, I'm just scanning through trying to make sure I got to as many questions. Any questions either of you see that you want to make sure we answer before we start wrapping up and moving into the next, into the wrap-up slides? I think the only other one that I see that's kind of interesting, Andy, is there's a couple folks have asked about like AI. And I think I saw you saying we use multiple LLMs, including GPT-4o. Could you just like quickly talk about AI and how it can be infused into this and maybe the different AI options that are available?
Sure. So there are no AI options available in Zapier Central. Zapier Central is an experimental AI-based workspace that we maintain and provide. Today, we use a number of different large language models. We use, including GPT-4o. All of these are available natively in the product. Our core editor product has a number of different LLMs you can use. So the traditional Zapier workflow product has everything from Anthropic to Gemini to the OpenAI model family. But for the central workflow, we're maintaining the models so that you don't have to.
Love it.
Yeah, I see another question here from John. He's asking, will this send an email through Outlook? Gmail's the only email program that I heard you mention. And the answer is yes. Pretty much any email integration you could think of works. And I recommend you go to central.zapier.com and just try it out yourself. Just try any connection. You can go to actions and then search up any action that you're looking for. Most likely we'll have it, right? Because it's connecting directly with all the Zapier actions, and we have over 7,000 integrations there. So we'll have Microsoft, Outlook, or anything you can think of there. And it's really great how many more integrations we have.